Hello guys, Centurion here. Sorry for not pausing for almost 2 weeks. I have been on holiday in Berlin. But today we'll be going over well, in my opinion, is the top 5 worst base locations you can base on DayZ. Now, number 1 is the factories, the factory buildings more especially, that you can find all around the map. Now, these are bad for many reasons. One of them is if you're being attacked and utilise gas, you're pretty much stuck, especially in these tight hallways as well as in the open area. There's not much you can do. Now, moving on, it is good for a couple of circumstances, especially base defense, but as soon as you're gassed, you are pretty much screwed, especially if you build heavy amounts of gates on all sides and they go ahead and do a full frontal attack using gas and then blowing in. You pretty much are pretty much screwed. You're going to lose everything including your gear. So in my respects for this area, if you've got a good team, utilize it. Especially if you build a compound and build on top. But if you're going to go ahead and build plainly inside as a solo, you're going to have a bad time. But if you're going to go outer and build entirely around the compounds, especially in the ones in Vibor, go ahead. It is a good base, but you're just going to need a good team and enough resources to man it all. If you're going to do it on something like a large 10x type of server, I would recommend doing it there. But try and avoid it on the official and lower ones, as it is a very hard base to build and fortify and make it so it's very hard to raid. Apart from that, I would try and avoid this base location the best you can. Now the next one may grow me a little, and this ones are the double stack buildings pretty much you can find in every town. Now, one reason I would avoid these, very similar to the last, is that the fact they're very compact. However, they're also always placed around high ground or at an angle where you can be seen through windows. Now, like I said the last one, if you've got a good team and can fortify it, especially as a solo, you can fortify it very well. But you have to realise there's only one exit and one entrance, and that is the exact same. And like I said, these have two layouts. I would especially go for the second layout you can find, which is less common, which has the 2 extra rooms. Now, though it is a very easy base layout to defend, it's also very one to attack as well. And the only downfall are the numerous amount of windows giving you away, especially if you're going to do a base defense. So definitely go ahead and build those up. Now this is a base I am very guilty of doing a lot, and this is a barn base. The one downfall in my books is how exposed it is. The walls especially you can be shot through, so if you do not effectively and well wall those off, and that is going to take a lot of resources, especially for the larger barns, you are going to be very vulnerable. And especially when it comes to raiding, there's only one way they can get in, and obviously they can disperse. So unless you absolutely mash those walls together, you're going to have a hard time defending this one. Now, if you're going to use this one, I would also recommend utilising tents, as these you can obviously plant them all around and basically build a maze. Now, building the maze in this type of base will be the best idea, mainly because it's going to deter them from busting through, but also it's going to waste their resources and basically effectively get nothing if they raid you. Now, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to play a server that disables tent damage or container damage, and not a lot of servers do that purely because of griefing. But apart from that, this base is good for the storage aspect, but not very good for the raiding aspect, because you've got 4 entrances and you're going to need to wall pretty much everything off in this base. Now, this is one thing I've not used for a long time, and there's a reason why. This is the red tin barn, and it's notorious around the map as it being the big go-to base for building a base. And well, yeah, as you can see, it is one you're going to have to really, really build up due to how much walls that are missing or parts of the wall that are missing, as well as how exposed it is if you do have a raider that manages to get in. Now, I would recommend avoiding this one for many reasons, but one of them is if one lucky grenade, any of those unexposed areas, and well, you're gonna get killed, especially if they do know where you are within the base. But apart from that, if you do have the time and the manpower to go ahead and wall everything off, it is one very good base. But if you're running a solo or duo, I would think twice and probably I'd go for an alternate option and something more like a downgraded version of this one. For example, the white barns. Apart from that, that's that for this base. Now, one base I would recommend if you have a group is utilising the industrial sites. Now, when I last built a base here, we pretty much walled everything off and you could spam the hell out of walls. Now, if you've got all the time to go through numerous gates, if you want to get in this base, I would go for it. Because spamming the gates along all sets of stairs and at the top and building on the top and the second floor is a very good option, but it's also bad for one aspect. And that's because in Dayz 1.15 they brought in gas grenades. Now, maybe 1.14, sorry, but if you do have the resources to build up this and make it impenetrable, I would 100% go for it. However, apart from its downfall being like very exposed to gas and grenades and so forth, it is also very good for storage, and it's one base I would choose to recommend. And if you want to go watch a video of me building it, I'll probably link it at the top. But apart from that, the plateau at the top, which is an unbuilt area, is very good if you want storage. But I would also argue against building here, as said previous, because you're going to need to build a lot of gates to defend it. Now, like I keep mentioning, these stairs are very good to defend off. Now, you're going to need to put about 5 gates per floor, especially on these stairs, but that means you're going to have to bust through around 20 gates to get up, which is going to be a massive waste on their end, especially when you've just started out and you've not exactly got much gear yet. Apart from that, it's a very good base.